Hey folks, thought I'd show you a quick tip on making your drum mix a lot easier. So the purpose of this video is to save you time and headaches when you're mixing. Here's the scenario. You have some tracks that you recorded and you're getting ready to mix, and everything you thought was fine when you recorded it, but when you listen back, you notice tons of bleed in the snare drum mic. You're hearing all the cymbals, you're hearing maybe some odd sound that was going on, or all sorts of stuff, right? And you're like, well, shoot, now what? Sometimes we can record somebody and not realize there's an issue till when we get to mixing it. Let me play a little bit to let you hear what I'm talking about. We're talking about the snare drum here, and there's bleed in the snare drum. Let me let you hear a little bit. So that's just the snare drum. Now keep in mind when you record mics, of course you know they're like ears. Each mic is picking up sound all the time. And when you have a drum set, there's tons of sounds going on, and usually tons of mics on the drums. And if you have the band in the room while you're recording, well, that's even more trouble. Then you're going to get the instruments in the drum mics. Let's hear a little bit in the beginning here and see what we have. So there you can hear there's a hi-hat in there. So what do? How do we make it sound better? Whatever I do to the snare drum is going to make that hi-hat come out at the cost of making my snare drum sound not the way I want it to sound. A good way to do it is before you record any drummer, record them playing individual drums, individual snare, individual crashes. But they need to play them like they would playing the song. So if they're just tapping on them and you're recording them, that's not going to work very well. We're trying to emulate their performance, the way they would play when they're playing the song. So you want them to hit the drums to an equal sound, right? You want them to hit the drums. If they hit them hard, take the samples hard. In other words, have the drummer go out there and you say, okay, play your snare drum and get a good 4 to 6 good hits, and do the same thing with the toms and the cymbals. And if you do cymbals, you want to let them decay. In other words, let them ring to where you don't hear them anymore. So when they hit it, so it fades away before they hit it again. And do that with all the drums. And when you mix, you'll have those tools to pull out and add to the acoustic drums to deal with the bleed we're hearing. In my case, I don't have that. You might be in the same case. You might say, well, I've already recorded the band. I've already got the bleed. Now what? Well, there's one way you can get around that, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So in my case, as you've heard, there is bleed, and I don't want bleed. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to hit Command-Shift-N to make a new track, or you can just go Track, New, and you want mono, because that's what our snare is. I'm going to make this a little bigger by dragging right there with this, see the little arrows. And I found an area that I like the snare drum, or think that I can get a good sample out of it. So if you click before it with your selector tool, and you're in tab to transient, which is this little blue one here, this has to be on, and you hit the tab key. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. You tab till it gets up to the snare drum. You can see it's right there. It's right before the hit. And then I can see right here, there's a little blip right there. And I know that's another sound because I can see it. If you hold Shift when you have this highlighted here, you can see it blinking. So now I've set the boundaries of the sound I want. Let's hear that. That sounds fine. I don't really hear other stuff in there. So you can just take that and you can go Control-C, and then you can hit semicolon and go Control-V. And I just made a copy. And alternatively, a way you can do this that might be easier for some of you is the same thing. You go before it, you hit, make sure tab the transient's on, you hit tab, and you hit the letter B right here. And that will split it. See, there's a line there now. And if I go tab again, it stops right before that one. If I hit B again, now I've just made a copy of this. It's a piece now, so I can move it around, right? So if you do it that way, then you can just copy that, and same thing. You can go down anywhere you want, and you can hit paste wherever you want to do that. I can go over here and hit paste. That's another way. So now what you want to do is you got to go through the snare drum track. But basically you're going to do the same thing as we just did through the whole track. But I'm only going to do part of it. So I'm going to click before this first drum. I'm going to hit tab to transients, then semicolon, and I'm going to hit Command V, paste. Then I'm going to click right before this one, hit tab to transients, semicolon, paste for V, and then one more. And there's 4. So now we can A and B this. We can hear this one against this one. Now let's hear what we've done. First I'll play the green ones. I've only did 4, but you would have to do the whole song if you wanted to do this, or in the parts where maybe there was treble. Maybe there's only certain parts in the song where you need to do this. And let's hear the first 4, and then I'll play the purple ones after that, which is our original. Right? So that's a quick, easy way to get a clean snare drum sound, and I can do whatever I want now to mix this and not have to worry about the bleed and all the cymbals and all the noise. Then again, it's a better idea to get a sample before the guy records or the gal records. But in our case, we don't have that, so this is one way to get over that hurdle. Now let's hear it with a drum set. I'll do the same thing. I'll play the green ones for 4, and then I'll switch over to the purple ones with the whole drum set. Let's hear that again. So there you have it, a quick, easy way to get a good drum sound without all the bleed and all the headaches and the trying to make it sound good when you know you're not going to be able to because there's so much hi-hat bleed or what have you. This recording that I'm playing you here doesn't have as much bleed as some of the recordings I've dealt with, and I'm sure some of the ones you've dealt with or will deal with. So this is a foolproof way to get a good snare drum or drum sound, because you can do this with any of the drums, to get a good clean sound without all the noise. And it gives you the advantage of being able to EQ things however you want without affecting the other drums. Check it out, see if it works for you. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.